When we think of vast colonial empires, the British Empire is often one that springs to mind, but indeed this empire had a very much equally imperialistic sister, the French Empire. What was the legacy of this empire? Why was it important? What were the cultural characteristics? Was it any good? Was it all just a load of evil? From Africa to Cameroon to French Indochina, this is the French Empire. Right, I'll be taking you on a 10-part series, 10 episodes, right from the downfall of Napoleon all the way up to modern day. So 200 years of history, a lot to cover, a lot to crack through. This is the French Empire, and I hope you enjoy this series. It is now the swinging 60s and they're very much upon us. Now going even to the ever more modern 70s. The age of imperialism is over. Empires are falling, even Cold War tensions are cooling, such as the SALT Agreement and Strategic Arms Reduction Talks Agreement. However, the French Empire is now no more, but there is very much a rebranded form of it, which still exists to this day. While many people were very willing to kill, fight, or go to any extent to gain independence, others were quite happy under this new French rule they found themselves now subjugated to under. So, two of these colonies, which were less, took more of a chill approach to the French, was French Guiana and French Somaliland. Sources linked down in the description. Let's conclude the series. French Somaliland was one of these such territories, which officially became themselves and found themselves under French rule in 1883. However, they only controlled a very, very small part of the coastline. Luckily, the French came up with a nice excuse to gain the whole thing. I'll put it up on screen now. It's very hard to pronounce. I'm not going to really try and attempt it. Le Pacone killed in 1896 Albando, and then the French claimed the whole territory. There it is. Wikipedia article there, edited in there for you. I think you're probably better reading it than me. I'm rubbish at English, but there you go. So in 1896, they claimed the full territory. Southern part of Eritrea, well, southeasterly part, that's all the part we know as historians. We'll let the English people decide what those words mean and those metaphors they've used. So that was it, the French now held the territory. However, the Abyssinian Empire, let's not forget, Abyssinia, nowadays or Ethiopia, did survive the scramble for Africa. And so a bit of carrot and stick went on, because very much the French would guarantee Ethiopian independence so long as they allowed the railway construction and help of Ethiopian workers. So the French did begin constructing railways over their small territory now held of French Somaliland. And the natives there were relatively happy with the French. I mean, they're caught in a rock and a hard place. Of course, they had seen what the Italians had done at Italian Somaliland, Italian Eritrea. Pretty big battles like the Battle of Adwa, 1st March 1896. They'd seen what happened. They were quite happy to, in some ways, the French with a laissez-faire approach, and they were happy to remain under French rule as long as they didn't fall to any Italian aggression, which very much became more prominent in the Second World War, as French Somaliland did indeed see action throughout the war, and many thousands of French Somalis did go and fight for France and remain loyal to the French free cause. Following World War II, of course, those railways were still in use, and very much more in use now. Things such as coffee exports, because French Somaliland was very much a coffee port. Coffees and grains were exported and imported into the country, and they sent them out as coffee, and the French would gain a sizable amount of economic development from it. In 1967, government of the area became slightly more complicated for just governmental reasons and parliamentary reasons. So in 1967, the French made it into Addis of Isaac's territory of France, like say Gibraltar, Britain. It's part of France, very much like Algeria was, although now independent, of course. And for 10 years later, in 1977, after 94 years of French rule, French Somaliland did indeed gain independence as Djibouti, very peacefully, and that was that. However, there is one reasonably large territory in the world that simply cannot get enough of the French, and is even named after the French Guiana. Very well French spoken, even use the euro, and have a massive land border with Brazil, even bigger than any other French border territory. So how did French Guiana come to be? Well, after the British and Portuguese attempted to take over the territory, in the 1814 Treaty of Paris, the French did gain French Guiana as a penal colony. In the late 19th century, there were some minor border disputes with the Empire of Brazil, and Brazil like much of South America faced, like in War Triple Alliance, and also the British as well in British Guiana, and the Dutch as well in Suriname. And in World War II, the Germans when World War I, of course, they did send troops to fight for France, but in World War II more prominently, of course, France did fall. However, the territory remained lords of the Free French Court, and pretty quickly, we all know what happened. Adolf Hitler lost the war. So after World War II, it became French, and it was in French hands again. In the 1970s, during the French Indochina War concluded, but the Vietnam War was still going on, many Laos and Cambodians did immigrate to French Guiana for protection. And even in the 1980s, during the Suriname War, after the Dutch gained Suriname independence, many Suriname refugees and immigrants went to French Guiana for protection. Of course, under French law, European Union by the time France was in, and so that she gained quite a lot of job opportunities and social benefits, such as more job opportunities, social welfare, healthcare benefits by being within French Guiana, of course, under French administration. And so the story simply kept on going, and we now get to the point today where French Guiana is still under French rule. And I think the reasons why the French managed to hold the territory is because of the actual better treatment of the natives, but then again, they did probably still kill a few people to gain the territory. So definitely, neo-colonialism, colonialism, pros and cons. And also because economically, I think there's even some space programs. Let me know in the description, not 100% on that one. Sources differ, so let me know in the description. The comment section. Let me know in the comment section because sources do differ, but I think there's actually some space programs going on in French Guiana. So they definitely are economically and socially gaining from being under French control. And that is it. Here we are, a map of the modern French Empire. So there we go then. Over 200 years of history, now all covered in 10 very, very nice themed episodes. Right from Napoleon at Waterloo, then we look at North African colonisation, the scramble for Africa, the First World War steering on left, bit of Agadir crisis beforehand, French Algerian, French Indochina War, and now we end up to where we are today. So, conclusion, well, again, this is very much an empire of two sides of the coin. Some will see the French Empire as a massive social, economic further, cultural development, building railways, spreading culture, ideas, science throughout much of the world. But on the other side, this was done through repression. Some may even consider a genocide. People were killed, massacred, raped, in order for the French to gain these territories. And millions, tens of millions even, would not have died if the French were simply never showed up in the first place. These ideas, although stem from those ideas of liberty and equity under the French revolutionary ideas and cause in 1789, very much they were just about assimilating culture to be French without the method of choice, which is what made it an empire at the end of the day, imperial. You didn't get to choose. The French were there to dominate. However, the legacy of the French Empire is completely, you can't underestimate it, you can't understate it. Now look at the world, whether you like it or not. There's French culture everywhere, French language, French food, French science, French ideas, French street names, French road names, countries named after France, such as the Côte d'Ivoire, as one of them, the Ivory Coast, still being French. Many people in the world will not be today where they are without the French. So I suppose the French Empire definitely was by no means evil. It definitely was by no means all great. It was an empire, and it sure did leave a legacy, and it's incredibly fascinating and interesting. Very much assisted to the British. And who knows, if they were slightly more better in the 7 Years' War, or perhaps not had the French Revolution or Bourbon identity, things slightly went differently. The French Empire could get even more powerful. But we don't go down the alternate history route. I'm here to tell you the facts. I very much hope you enjoyed this series. I found it very, very fascinating, exhilarating to make. There you have it. The French Empire. Vive la France. Vive la Revolution. I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Goodbye.